Welcome back to the Chasing a Greater Vision podcast. I'm your host, Rickey Jasper. Today's episode, we talk about all things fitness. 4 rules to change your fitness and your physique in 90 days. Now, this is going to be a great episode because it's very low barrier to entry information that's going to be very easy to intake so that you can use every single day to get fitter in 90 days. Let's get into it. I'm pumped about this. Why? Because I love fitness. I love functional fitness. I love running. I love lifting. I love all things fitness. And there's a lot that I have realized and learned over my last 15 years really focusing in on fitness that I'm going to share with you today. I'll run through the tips really quickly, and then we're going to get into the meat of it and why these are important. Number 1, get serious about your nutrition. Number 2, slot in convenient workouts. Number 3, get consistent. And number 4, focus on what you're sacrificing. Now, why is this topic important? It's because I'm 33 years old, and before I hit 30, I heard so many people say, hey, when you hit 30, everything breaks down. And I haven't felt that breakdown point. Now, do I have the same energy level that I did when I was 16? Maybe not. But what I focused on is changing my lifestyle to fit where I'm at, to fit, my life, or changing my fitness lifestyle to fit that. Now, when you don't have the fitness level that you typically want, a few things could be happening, right? And it's not that you don't have a want to be better. It could be other things that are contributing to it, right? You could feel overwhelmed and overworked. When you are overworked and you feel overwhelmed with your tasks and responsibilities, sometimes fitness falls by the wayside because it's a quote unquote, I say optional thing, or people view it as optional because it's something where it's like, if you don't work out, if you don't stay active, you can still sit down and be on a laptop. You can still make meals. You can still be there for your family, your kids, but you don't always feel the best. You might be lacking energy. Now, a lack of energy can come from a few different things, right? But if you're lacking energy, you might not feel like you have the energy to go get the workout in, or you might think that because you're working out, or because if you do work out, you will get lower energy, which I think is a lie. Every time I work out, I feel completely energetic, but we'll get into that. You're lacking confidence. Now, not working out and not feeling your fittest could cause you to lack confidence. Or if you're already lacking confidence, I can very much understand why, hey, you might feel a little bit self-conscious going into the gym. You might feel a little bit more self-conscious being outside and wearing athleisure and doing things that are active. You might feel like other people are looking at you, which I can assure you they're not. Everybody, including myself, is too insecure and they're focused on their own flaws more than you. So just know that. And then the other thing is your nutrition is poor, right? And when you have poor nutrition, poor inputs, you're going to have poor outputs, right? You put diesel fuel in a gas car, it's an output that's not going to be right? So we're going to work on that today. So a quick story. In the past, I was heavily involved in bodybuilding. If you go through my Instagram, you'd see that. In bodybuilding, you go through a bulk phase and a cutting phase. The bulk phase is when you're eating at a surplus, you're putting on lean muscle mass, and you're typically putting on a little bit of fat to then go into a cut where you are in a caloric deficit, so you can cut all of the fat so it shows the new muscle tissue, everything that you built. Now, for me, I didn't necessarily love the bulking phase because I would feel sluggish. I would feel out of breath. I would not fit my clothes the best. I wasn't the most confident person, and I felt my energy being very, very low, right? And so when it comes to that, I just didn't feel good. And now being 33 and having other things in life, having, house, fiance, the pups, a busy job, fitness coaching, performance coaching, family lives up the road, a social calendar, all of these things that I cannot devote the same amount of time to my fitness that when I was 25 and I was single and I was living alone and I just had a job and I could just do fitness and work out three hours a day, right? Now, because of that, I've created 4 rules that if you do that in this phase, and if you're watching this, I'm going to assume that we're kind of in a similar phase. These 4 rules will help you get back to your fittest in 90 days. And I promise you that if you do them, if you take action on them. Number 1 is if you get serious about your nutrition. A few things that are super simple. Calories in versus calories out. If you've heard it 1,000 times, I'm going to give it to you 1,001. If you are intaking more than you're exerting, you will gain weight. Basic rule. I don't care what diet you're doing. I don't care what fad they're pushing on social media. If you are intaking more calories, if you are eating just salads all day, and if for whatever reason you've eaten 3,000 calories worth of salad and your body only burns 2,500 calories a day, you are going to gain fat. It is what it is, right? Next thing is limit your snacking or be mindful about your snacking. It's very easy to pick up a small bag of chips. It's very easy to pick up, nuts and stuff like that are high in fat. It's you have to be mindful about your snacking and make sure that you limit it. And I would say if you can, just like nix it and give yourself other small meals. That's my rule of thumb. The other thing is add greens and increase your protein. Now, this is something where I've noticed it when I don't consistently have greens. What I do now is every day I have a salad for lunch or dinner that's heavy with spinach. It's got some tomatoes, and it's got a very light dressing. And I load it up, right? And it's just salad, but I feel so much better. I feel like my body is a lot more fluid. I feel like my energy is way higher when I just make sure that I incorporate greens, and then making sure that I'm getting enough protein in, because for me, if I do not have enough protein, my muscles cannot sustain. Like protein is the fuel that helps build muscle. And there is a rule of thumb where it's like you want 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It really depends on you. I typically don't hit that every day, but I try to. And it's something that allows me to keep my muscle mass. It allows me to keep my physical endurance, which I completely love. The other thing is use carbs around activity. So carbohydrates are there to ensure that you have energy sustained throughout the day, right? Or it's sustained through a workout, sustained through a tough workout, right? So this is just kind of really getting into the weeds. If you're doing low intensity cardio, like zone 2 cardio, zone 1, your fuel source is going to be your fat stores. If you are going above that and you are really exerting yourself, carbs are those quick things that you need. So for me, when I'm working out, I only have a carb-based meal before that because I make sure, I have carbs around the day, but I make sure that I have a carb-based meal before I work out because I'm going to need the energy to exert. And then the last thing is make sure that you're limiting your fat intake. And this is important because 1 gram of carbs, 4 calories. 1 gram of protein, 4 calories. 1 gram of fat, 9 calories. So you see, if you have more grams of fat, you are going to have more calories put on your body. So get serious about your nutrition with those. Number 2, slot in convenient workouts. Now, if you see me, you know that I have a 1,000-mile goal of running this year. Now, I thought about it and I was like, man, why am I getting into running a little bit more? Why am I getting into functional training a little bit more? And I realized it's because there are low barriers to entry. I can just put my shoes on, I can get outside, and I can be outside for 30 minutes or an hour, and I hit a workout. Versus in the past, and sometimes what Carly and I do is like we drive to the gym, takes us about 10 minutes, we work out for about an hour, 15 minutes, we drive back home, takes another 15 minutes. So that whole round trip is like a little under 2 hours. And some days it's like, hey, I'm going for a run because I don't have time to be in the gym for too long, and so on and so forth. And then we have weights in the garage. We have a nice like weight setup. And so if there are times like during lunchtime where I'm like getting a run in the morning, but I still want to lift, now I could just go in the garage, get a lift, right? So find a way that you can slot in convenient workouts. Now, yours might be just going for a walk. It might just be, 10 minutes of a lift, but convenience is key because you are busy and you have a lot going on, but you want to make sure that you are giving yourself time to do what you need to do. Number 3, get consistent. Now, consistency, this ties into number 2 of slotting in convenient workouts. It's easier to stay consistent when your workouts or your nutrition has a low barrier to entry, right? So if your workouts, your convenient workouts are 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you probably do those 5 days a week. If you are saying, hey, I want to get in and have an hour, 30-minute workout, the chances of you being able to do that every single day with how busy your schedule is, you might be able to do it once a week, but 25-minute workouts are going to far outweigh one 30-minute workout for the week, right? Because it's the consistency in which you're moving your body, the consistency in which you're focusing on your health and nutrition. Nick Bare says this, and I love this: consistently good is better than occasionally great. That is the rule that I live by when it comes to my fitness. Sometimes I don't feel like being in the gym. Sometimes I don't feel like going on the run. But what I say to myself is, if I'm just stay consistent at this, and even if this is just a good day or a fine day, it doesn't have to be a great day. I'd rather have a few good and fine days strung together versus one great day and then shut it down for the rest of the week. So make sure that you are being consistently good. Consistency is key. I will preach that until the day I die. It is the hill that I will die on. That is the one way that you know that you'll make change, because you are chipping away at something every single day. Number 4, focus on what you're sacrificing. This is the biggest point in this. Focus on what you're sacrificing by not being the fittest that you want, right? And sometimes that's hard because you might say, oh, I feel okay and things are okay. I think of down the line. When it comes to fitness, fitness is something that you do in the present that benefits you in the future, right? Like I want to be able to run with my kids. I want to be able for them to look at me and say, wow, like you are setting a good example. I want to be an example for people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. When I get my 30s, 40s, 50s, who can look at me and say, wow, he's still doing it. There must be some benefit to him doing it, because I know that for me, I show up better when I prioritize time to be fitter, right? And how to do this in 90 days is a very simple thing. And it starts with the last point is being consistent. It's really saying, hey, from my nutrition standpoint, let me look at areas that are not the best and let me start to modify them. When it comes to slotting in convenient workouts, it's saying, okay, if I have 90 days, that's 3 months. And if I say, hey, I'm going to do 4 days a week, so 4 days times 4, because if you have 4 weeks in a month, that's 16 workouts, 16 times 2 times 3. So you're looking at 48 workout days that you can do in 90 days. That's massive. If you're going from 5 workout days in 3 months to 48, you are going to see a huge change in your physique. You're going to see a huge change in your fitness level if you stay consistent with it. And the reason why I said 4 days, because it's like you can slot in 4 days or 3 days of work, right? So you stay consistent with that. And then the last thing is, if every day when you go to be consistent on your workouts and the days that you don't feel like it, if you say, man, what am I sacrificing from this? Am I going to allow myself to stay low energy? Am I going to allow myself to stay not my most confident self? Am I going to allow myself to consistently be with and have poor nutrition, right? These are the things that I'm sacrificing. And am I going to allow myself to not be a good example to other people that are watching me? That's what you are sacrificing by not being your fittest or not trying. So make sure that you are focusing on this. I'm telling you, when it comes to me, I enjoy my sleep. I sleep better when I work out. I enjoy being in the best mood that I can. I am cranky when I don't get my workouts in on my workout day, right? I enjoy having a lot of energy. Before we do this podcast, I'm working out, right? Because I want to bring the energy to this podcast. Those are the things that you get in return. You see what you sacrifice for what you get in return. You might be sacrificing a little bit of time, a little bit of sweat and everything, but what you get in return is going to help all aspects of life. So those are my 4 rules to change your fitness and physique in 90 days. Again, get serious about your nutrition, slot in convenient workouts, get consistent, and focus on what you are sacrificing and then what you'll get in return. I'm telling you, you do those things and you get serious about it and you get moving, your life will change. Again, if you enjoy this podcast, you know that it could help somebody get fitter, help somebody get serious about their fitness level, get serious about their physique, and just give them a low barrier of entry to some content to get them moving in the right direction. Send it to them. Let them know I'm here for them and everything. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time. Peace. For free resources, paid resources, and one-on-one coaching with me directly for fitness coaching and performance coaching using my life coding system, go to RickeyJasper.com, and I will see you there, and we'll talk directly, and we'll make it happen.